Hey guys, welcome back. I'm gonna wait a little bit. So we are live today. This is Thursday, October 27th, 2022. And we are doing a live video with cast iron cookware making handmade tortillas. We're gonna be using several types of cookware, along with also several different types of masa flour. So we're gonna start in a minute. We're just gonna let people join. So bear with me, guys. As I mentioned, we're gonna be making tortillas. We're gonna be making tortillas today, guys. We're gonna wait. We're gonna be using cast iron cookware to make the tortillas. We're gonna be using several types of corn flour and different types of cast iron cookware to make the tortillas. So bear with me while I wait for more people to join in. Thank you, everybody who's here so far. Rick, Honey Badger, good to see you guys. Hippie Longshanks, thank you very much for the like. And as I mentioned, bear with me so we wait until more people join in. And we'll be making some corn tortillas. I was planning on making flour tortillas today, but I think I want to do that for another day. So today we're going to be doing two types of corn flour tortillas. Or I'm sorry, corn tortillas. But as I mentioned, we are going to be waiting for more people to join in. Hello, Jeanette. Thank you guys for showing up. Rick, Honey Badger, Hippie Longshanks, thank you guys. As I mentioned, give me some time so that we can get more people in here, and we will be starting in a minute. And as you guys can see right away, we do have the Victoria cast iron tortilla press. And I'll tell you guys, we'll talk a little bit about this in a minute, but let me grab my flour and get all that stuff ready so we can get going with the tortillas. As I mentioned, bear with me. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. As I mentioned, we're going to be making corn tortillas today, so bear with me. As I mentioned, I'm getting everything ready, getting the flour ready, and I'll show you guys what we'll be using today. Obviously, we're going to be using cast iron cookware. And real quick, guys, since we use cast iron, and usually you can most likely prepare corn tortillas, or most likely authentic, with using a clay griddle. Usually that's how they roast over a wood fire. And that's how they cook them in Mexico. They usually use a clay griddle, as I mentioned, to make the tortillas. But one thing that I want to note real quick for you guys is that if you guys are going to be using a cast iron skillet or any cast iron for that matter, always preheat. So the masa comes together really quickly. It's not difficult at all. It's very simple, and you usually want to have your the first thing you want to do is what I recommend is, as I mentioned, preheat your preheat the griddle. That way, when you're done making the masa, you'll be ready to put in or place in the tortilla to get it cooked. So I would recommend a low heat, but as I mentioned, at least preheating for at least 5 to 10 minutes, low heat. Hello, Cynthia, Honey Badger, once again, Rick, Jeanette, everybody else. We'll be going and getting started. Just give me some time real quick just to grab my ingredients. And so I'm going to be using a typical corn masa that you can find, or corn flour that you can find at pretty much any grocery store. It's called, I think, maseca. And that's the most common, most popular used corn masa or corn flour. That one's, as I mentioned, the most readily available. The other one is going to be one that I ordered online that is actually supposed to be high end. I guess the Michelin star restaurants use the Macienda corn flour. So we're going to be using that as well. And we're going to talk about the differences, see if there is any differences, and same thing with the griddle and the cast iron tortilla press. All right, guys. Hello, Rhode Island Eats. So we're going to be using 2 bowls, one for one type of flour and another for the other type of flour. Let me scoot it back. And this masa flour can be used to make many, many things, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we're going to need some salt. I like using this one here. We're also going to be using the Macienda corn flour. As you can see here, white corn masa harina is what they call it. So we're going to be using that as well. And the one that I was mentioning, which is very readily available to a lot of people, and the more popular one, this is a higher end, I want to say, flour or corn masa. But the more readily available would be this one here. And I want to say all this stuff is always going to be gluten-free. As you can see here, it says gluten-free. So we're going to be making 2 kinds. We're going to make the Michelin star flour masa harina tortillas along with the more, readily available flour, and we'll see if there's any difference. I've had difficulty making good tortillas with this, and with this I've made the blue corn tortillas, and they turned out amazing. So already with the blue corn, it did a great job. So anyway, guys, This I think retails for about $10 for this small bag. This retails for about, I think, like $2 or maybe three at the most. So very inexpensive. And as I mentioned, very easy to make. All you're gonna need is just, a lot of people add different things. Some people like to add, instead of water, they like to add chicken broth. And some people like to use lard. We're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna keep it traditional, which is gonna be just the flour with salt and hot water. So that's the only thing we're gonna do, guys. And it's gonna be nothing fancy. Cynthia says, Lord, haven't seen Morton salt since prices jacked up. New box. This one's actually the sea salt one, which is iodized. Most of the sea salt isn't iodized. So this one I just recently bought, and I like using sea salt. So when I saw this, I was like, I wanted to try this. And it actually is a lot better. And the granules are actually really nice. So far, I've liked it really well. And it's not as salty as table salt. Table salt is very fine, but it's extremely salty. But anyway, let's get ready, guys. We're gonna get I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio, which is 1 cup of flour to 1 cup of warm or hot water. So let me check actually the comments real quick, guys. Let's see what you guys are talking about. All right, so Jeanette says, can we use it for tamales? Yes, actually, this one here, this one is, as I mentioned, the most readily available one, and you can find this anywhere. So it gives you ingredients here on how to do. So this one is mostly in Spanish, but it says yields up to 7.2 pounds of tortillas, which is obviously a lot of tortillas. And here you have your ratio. Hopefully you guys can see that. The maseca is 2 cups, and so 2 cups of flour. On this one, it says 2 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of warm water. And it's, technically instant corn masa. And I think it yields about, if you do this ratio, 2 cups is going to make you about, I want to say about 12 tortillas, 12 to 15. So that's a good amount. Usually, like when I tested the Macienda, when I tested this one, and as you can see, actually one of the biggest difference between these corn flours, real quick, guys, is that this one is nixtamal, which is a the original tongue that they spoke, the Mayan and the Aztecs, but nixtamalized corn flour, which is the biggest difference between this one and this one, is that this one actually has lime in it. So it has the ingredients you can see here: 100% origin heirloom corn, non-GMO, and trace of lime. Lime is actually really good for the corn tortillas. So that's one thing that I've noticed, that perhaps the lime helps this actually make a high quality tortilla versus this, where the tortilla tends to be hard, it tends to be easy to break, and it doesn't fold, it just stays hard. This one doesn't have that. They do sell a different type of masa, but anyway, this one here, going back to, somebody asked, I forget who it was, I'm sorry guys, but yes, you can actually make tamales with this. You can make tortillas, tamales, pupusas, which is more of a Salvadorian, like a empanada style. Atoles, which is a drink. Empanadas, which is more of the Colombian. Gorditas and sopes. So there's a lot of things, as I mentioned, that you can do with this single ingredient. So enough of that. Let's get started, guys. Let me just grab my hot water real quick. All right, guys. So This one says 2 cups, but I'm going to do 1 cup. And I'm going to do 1 cup of water because you do want it a little bit more on the wetter side than you do on the drier side. So sometimes you, from what I've seen, you don't necessarily have to follow the instructions on the package. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. So there we go, 1 cup of the masa, which is going to be in the bigger bowl. And then we're going to do a little bit of salt. We're not gonna really measure this. We're just gonna add a little bit of salt. There, that should be enough. And then let me open this bag since I have not opened it, and then we'll get that one going in a minute. All right, guys, so I have hot water here, and I like using hot water more than I do anything else. So hot water is going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen, and it's actually going to help move things along quicker. All right, guys, and we're going to be using the Field Company griddle, the number 9 Field Company griddle. Let me see if I can move it here. And as you can see, mine has been developing a good patina. Real quick, this griddle is amazing. It's lightweight, thin, and it heats up really quickly. So this is more of a carbon steel kind of style of griddle. And Field Company does some great stuff. So anyway, that's going to be what I'm going to be using right now to preheat to cook the tortillas. And as I mentioned, all you got to do is just throw in some hot water. We're going to do, I got 2 cups here. So we're going to do 1 cup. We're going to do it slowly. And you can do it with your hand. Nothing's going to happen. Well, what I should have done, actually, now that I think about it, is I should have stirred it around to get that salt evenly distributed. So do as I say, don't do as what I just did. See? And then we are going to get it to a certain consistency in a minute. And as I mentioned, you can do chicken broth for this. If you have any chicken stock, it goes really well, and it gives your tortillas really great flavor. You can add anything else to this as well, like some kind of spices, but we're going to do something easy, something traditional. All I did was just add a bit of salt, nothing too fancy here. And then once you get everything nice and incorporated, all that stuff that's sticking to your hands, all the masa, all the corn flour is going to end up gathering up into a ball. So as you can see, that's pretty much everything that you have to do. Just gather it all together into a ball. And I'll show you guys the consistency that we're looking for in a minute. Now last year I had never done tortillas until last year. And last year there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of, trying to figure out what to do. And I was always trying to do more of the fancy stuff, adding, like lard, adding chicken stock, and sometimes they would turn out great, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes it would be a whole disaster that wouldn't cook properly. Sometimes the heat on the griddle wasn't good enough. It was just a whole mess, but I got to learning. So as you can see there, we have, let me show you guys. We have somewhat of a consistency here, which is a little bit drier still. It cracks. So if you squeeze it, yeah, it cracks. So we need a little bit more water. and that was too much. Jesus. My goodness. So I used too much there. We're gonna have to dump some of that water out. Luckily the masa harina does not collect it so quickly. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry for the thing, for messing up. Hopefully this won't be chaotic. I figure tortillas is very safe. Something easy to do. But since I got my masa really wet now, what I want to do is start incorporating some of that moisture into the flour, into the dough that forms. But as you can see here, no harm done. Even though I had added too much water, you can just, since it doesn't really absorb it after you form it, you can toss it out. No harm done. So masa harina is very forgiving. That's the nice thing about it. And it's very easy to make. As I mentioned, nothing much here. That's all you got to do. No baking powders, no other ingredients. Just one ingredient. And as I mentioned, you can go crazy and add more stuff. So there we go. As you can see here, this is the dough that we're looking for. And if you press it, it doesn't crack. Because if it does, then it's too dry. So this is good consistency here. So that's good enough for me. We're going to let that one sit there for a minute. And usually I cover it with a damp towel, which is actually right here. Paper towel, doesn't matter what it is, just make sure it's damp. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the cast iron press. Because after all, we enjoy using cast iron. Alrighty guys, so let me move it over, clean up the area a little bit. I'm going to talk about this cast iron press. Very heavy. Just so you guys know, this thing is really, really heavy. All right, so this tortilla press is a Victoria tortilla press made out of cast iron. It is not enameled, it is seasoned. I think it weighs close to 8 or 10 pounds, so it is pretty heavy. But a lot of people like the weight, and this one is actually a bigger one, guys. So they do sell a smaller one. This is the 8-inch. They sell, I think, a 6-inch model. I know that they've done some updates because some of them, this handle was actually breaking when they would apply pressure and it would crack. Don't know exactly why, but I know that they did update the tortilla press. So this one is the updated model, but seasoned, and there isn't much fuss here because it's, as long as it's seasoned, you don't have to really re-season because you're not going to really cook with it. Can you place this over a hot burner and cook your tortilla here? Possibly. Maybe that's an experiment I should try. But people typically don't use these to cook with. So maintenance on this is fairly easy. You don't even have to wash them. You just, wipe them down with a damp cloth, and that's about it. You don't have to put these in the sink or wash them because obviously you're not cooking anything in this. All it is just pressing. So the best thing about this press is the fact of the weight. There isn't much work that you have to do. The weight of it pretty much does everything for you. But Victoria cast iron, I think, has been around since 1937. So technically kind of like Lodge. And here they tell you here what you can make with it, like tortillas, empanadas, arepas. Arepas, I think, are an Argentinian type of corn dough or flour, I think it is. I'm sorry. I don't know exactly how to pronounce this, so I'm not going to butcher the word. And as you can see here, made in Colombia, Victoria. So I love this press. As I mentioned, it is very heavy, so it works great to making the tortillas. So with all that being said, let's start making the maseca tortillas. So as you can see, very simple, very easy, and you can make tortillas in your house fairly quickly. So now a lot of people do recommend that you use, I like using this type of plastic. It's very thin, almost kind of like something you would find at the grocery store that you use for your vegetables. I want to say that is the best type of plastic to use because the masa won't stick to the tortilla press, nor will it stick to this, because if you use the Ziploc bags, sometimes it gets stuck to the Ziploc bag and you're trying to peel it off and it won't peel off. So that was the other thing that I had to learn how to do. And there's a whole technique on how to lay the tortillas when you want to cook them, and it's actually somewhat of a technique that you have to learn. It's not as simple as it is simple to make, but you need practice. So anyway, with all that said, let's get going. Let's make our first tortilla. Let's see if this works, guys. So we want to use about a ping pong. I had a brain fart there. Ping pong ball sized dough. So not that big. I want to say, or maybe golf ball size. But that would be a great size to start with because we're making tortillas. And we don't want it to be too thick. So that's about it. Give it a little mash. Close it up. Let the weight do the work. And then press it down. Now, I recommend that you do not press it down all the way because it gets more flat on this side than it does on this side. So this is where I flip it. Give it another mash. And then go hard on it. And there you go. Now we have a decent sized round tortilla here. Just so you guys can see. It's a good sized disc. All right, guys, I think my griddle is hot enough. Let me go check. All righty, guys, I think it is hot enough. So I'm going to move you guys. Here, you guys can see the tortilla. We're not going to do any kind of crazy voodoo stuff. And here we go. Let me put you guys right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Don't want to get you guys all dizzy, but let me adjust my tripod here. For today, I am using my cell phone to stream. So hopefully the quality is good. But here is the tortilla. And as I mentioned, actually, let me show you guys how I peel it off. Because it is something that I do want to show you guys. So let's just do this. Sorry for moving you guys so much. So what we want to do is obviously get one side. Peel that off. And as you can see here, we have the tortilla. Now what I like to do is place my hand here and then peel it off. And as you can see, one single piece. Then lay it like this and lay it away. And I think my griddle is not hot enough because you should hear a little bit of a sizzle. So sadly, it's not hot enough, which is probably going to cause my tortilla to not cook properly. You do need a hot skillet. You can oil it up, but I like to keep mine dry. Here, hopefully you guys can see some of that steam that's already starting to form. Yeah, so it's sticking, which is actually an indication that it wasn't hot enough. Usually when it's hot enough, it won't stick, and it'll glide around, and this one is not doing that. So I'm already probably going to have a difficulty here getting this one out of the skillet. Or, the griddle itself. But let's see what you guys are saying. And typically you want to leave them for about 20 seconds on each side. So And typically you do not need to be using a spatula as I'm doing here. As I said, if you would have, if I would have done it correctly the first, right now, if it was hot enough, it would glide around. Well, at least we got it off. And there we go. Let's see. So, any round griddle will work great for this. Doesn't have to be the Field Company, but yeah, any griddle. And as I mentioned before, typically these are cooked in a round ceramic, or not necessarily ceramic, but clay griddle traditionally. Now, a lot of Mexico uses, and a lot of South America uses carbon steel. That's their go-to cookware. They use a lot of carbon steel and nonstick now, since nonstick is so inexpensive. But carbon steel for the longest time was more prevalent there than anything else. Cast iron was popular, but not as much as carbon steel has been popular in South America and in Mexico. Let's see. Rick says, I keep my comales dry too. Yeah. Honey Badger, I think everyone has at least one nice piece that hangs around the stove. Actually, well, if you guys want to get into that real quick, there's a little story behind this. So I have this here. This one was given to me by my brother. It's an aluminum country kettle. And this Delmonico, which is, I think, a company, I don't know exactly what kind of company, but it is a cast iron skillet. It's about a number 6, number 4, maybe, in size. So it's about 5 inches. And that one actually belonged to my mother. My mother passed away back in 2019, and that was the only piece that that she had. She used it a lot for eggs. So I decided, after she passed, I decided to keep it for myself. As I mentioned, my family doesn't really use cast iron as much as I do, so that was the only piece that I inherited from my mom, and I keep it there as not necessarily as a souvenir or anything like that, but just, it's obviously it has a meaning for me. All right, so we're gonna call this one a fail. As you can see, there's a lot of cracks in my tortilla, and it's not cooking properly. As I mentioned, my griddle was not hot enough when I placed the tortilla on there. So that's why I mentioned that you usually want to preheat your griddle first prior to doing anything. Another thing too is that if you want your tortilla to, get all poofy, I've heard techniques where people just kind of, help it out by tapping it in the center or tapping it anywhere, and that causes the air to get trapped in there and to inflate. But as I mentioned, I don't think that this one's going to turn out great, so I'm a little upset about that. But then again, as I mentioned, I've always had a hard time making corn tortillas out of this corn flour. See, yeah, there's a good amount of cracks in that, and not cooking to what I want it to be. So, yes, I think we have. We're gonna redo this. So I'm gonna take this tortilla off, and then obviously let it heat up a little bit more. Get rid of the leftover debris from the tortilla since it wasn't hot enough, and then we'll retry in a minute. Yeah, and see the texture of this isn't anywhere near where I want it to be. Yeah, no. I'm trying to salvage it, but no. So anyway, just gonna grab a paper towel, dust it off, and place it back on. And what I'm going to do is actually just kind of scrape it with a wooden spoon. Get some of that stuck on tortilla flour, masa. But that's the beauty of this, is that it's easy to clean up afterwards after you use it. All right, there we go. Let's give this a try one more time. So we're going to let that heat up a little bit more. We're going to make some more tortillas. Actually, what I want to do is actually also prepare the Hacienda white corn flour. So I got to open that up, so bear with me for a minute. This live stream is a little bit more laid back. I feel like it's not as hectic as some of my other ones, but hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves. I'm gonna move this tortilla press out of the way for a minute. We're gonna start the other one. So, as I mentioned, guys, not sponsored or anything, but so far I've been very happy with how this corn flour works. Obviously, I just opened this one, but I have tried the blue one, and the blue one turned out great. So, not that I'm, trying to sponsor this or anything, but this so far has been really well, has done really well. And we're gonna add a little bit of table salt as well. Just kind of feel it out, guys. Nothing fancy, nothing special. And we're gonna incorporate the water slowly. Add about half of it. Stir it around, guys. Add a little more. So I did a cup on each. So I did a cup of the maseca, and I'm doing a cup of this one here as well. Cup of water and a cup of, so 1-to-1 ratio technically. So with both of these, you can make tamales, sopes, empanadas, arepas. There's just a lot of things. There's a lot of versatility with having corn flour. Now, if you guys saw one of my other videos, I think I did post, I think I might have posted here. I don't know if I did post it on YouTube, but I did post one on Instagram. So if you guys don't know, I do have a account or a profile on Instagram where I post a lot as well. And Rick, I know for a fact, Rick follows me on Instagram as well. But I did post one of that I made some blue corn tortillas. I did post a video of the blue corn tortillas, but YouTube flagged me for the music, I guess, that I used, so I had to take it down. They gave me a copyright strike, so I had to remove it, and I'm okay with that. Not a big deal, because it was a short more than anything else. But anyway, I did use a different style of tortilla press. Instead of the cast iron tortilla press, I used a steel tortilla press, which Rick called me out, and he's like, Rick was telling me, he's like, where's the cast iron tortilla press? And I was like, oh shoot, I do have it still, but I was just testing that one out because it has really good reviews, and it worked great. I liked it, even though it's not cast iron, or technically I guess you could say it's carbon steel, but It's mostly steel that they welded together, and it works great. It is painted. I'll show you guys in a minute what it looks like, the tortilla press. Alright guys, so this is the Hacienda in the smaller bowl that I have here. That way I don't get confused. And as I mentioned, just, kind of massage it in there as well as you can to kind of get everything incorporated. Let's see. And usually I test my dough before I finish up and then squeeze it. And it looks good. I think we're good. Maybe add a little tiny tad more. But that's about it. Not too much. And also, guys, you don't want such a wet dough because then it will not cook properly at all. And you'll have a lot of issues. So make sure that it's more of a Play-Doh texture where it's still pliable, but not completely wet to where it's mush. So, as I mentioned, I think that is a good, that's good enough here. So, we have the maseca and we have the hacienda. We're going to cover these up real quick, and then I will make another batch, or I'm sorry, another attempt at cooking the tortilla. All right, sorry about that. Let's get going once again. Move this stuff out of the way. Let's try the maseca once again, because I'm doing this experiment for you guys and also for me as well, because I'm curious to see if this one here, this hacienda, is any different than the maseca. All right, so once again, we're gonna put this here, plastic. We're gonna try and attempt this once again. And it is important that you guys keep this covered because now I can feel that it has dried out a bit. And I'm already starting to have issues with the maseca. Not that I'm trying to say that they have bad quality products, but I've never liked it that much for tortillas. For sopes, for empanadas and other things, it works great. Even for tamales, it works great. But for tortillas, for some reason, I've always had a hard time. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like making tortillas from scratch, because my dough never turns out the way I want it to. All right, guys, so here we go. About a ping pong ball size. Place it here. We're going to attempt this once again. Forgot to do the little mash, but that's okay, no big deal. And then lightly the first time, and we're gonna flip it around and then go all out. And there we have it. Good tortilla. We're gonna give this a go once again. So here we go. All right, guys. Sorry for all the moving around. All righty. So once again, if you guys missed it, yeah, this is definitely hotter now. Yes, a lot hotter. Possibly a little too hot. All right. So just so you guys can see once again, we peel the tortilla, peel it, and then lay it on. Got shaky hands today. Don't know why. I'm actually kind of nervous because I'm curious to see how this goes. And already starting to have issues again. So technically about 20 seconds on each side. And then the third time you cook it to your preference. Better results this time around though. As you can see, tortilla's starting to look a little bit better this time around. I don't know why this one likes to stick. As I mentioned, sometimes to give it a start for it to form bubbles or a bubble to get all poofy, you just lightly tap it either in the middle or on the edges. You'll start seeing it inflate. I made the blue corn tortillas, guys, and my mother-in-law was asking what tortilla press I was using because she wanted to know. Now, what made the difference, because she tried the tortillas, I think what made the biggest difference was just the fact that it was maybe the brand of the corn. This is more commercialized masa, and I don't think this masa is great for tortillas, I'll be honest. But I've seen people make them, so possibly it's just me because I am a novice. I am not a professional at all. Putting that out there, guys. But so far, as I mentioned, don't like how it's turning out. That was hot. And be careful, guys. I mean, yes, you're going to have to build up good calluses on your fingertips so you don't burn yourself. I don't know. Not where I want it to be. Not happy. And this is one of the reasons why I mentioned that I don't like making homemade tortillas, because this was what I was using before and these were the results I was getting. See, this one's not even poofing up. And I'll show you guys the difference right now with the other brand, the Hacienda brand. As I mentioned, that brand is highly used here in the USA with Michelin star restaurants, high-end restaurants. So I've heard really good reviews, and so far, as I mentioned, I did use the blue corn. It worked out and turned out great. So, well, that's about it. Not the best. It didn't poof up. Didn't get all puffy. So, a little sad. We're gonna give it another go with the Hacienda and see how that turns out. And usually, I like to store them in a like a dish towel, just something like this. I have this one here. You can use, a tortilla warmer or anything like that. But once you're done cooking them, just throw them there. Throw them there. We're gonna put the. Sorry about that, guys. We're gonna put that one back and see what happens. This one was the original one. See if it cooks thoroughly this time. But anyway, keep them there, and then, which I forgot to do, is cover them so that they get steamy. All right, guys, so nothing much here to say. Exactly as I mentioned, not exactly what I like. One thing, though, that I do want to say is that this Field Company griddle is amazing. It works so well. I've had no issues with it, and the seasoning builds up really, really well. All right, well, that's as much as that is going to do. So we're going to stick it in here and pray that it starts to soften up a little. in its heat right here. Anyway, let's go and make the Hacienda tortillas. All right, so very sad about the maseca corn tortillas. All right, we're gonna move over to the Hacienda, which is the smaller bowl. We're gonna give this one a go. Actually, what happened to my plastic? Left it over here, guys. All right. We're gonna give this one a go, and hopefully it turns out. So, same. Actually, this one's a little bit bigger. This is the Hacienda, and one thing that I've actually noticed is that there's little granules in here that you can see that are kind of sparkly. And this one has more of a natural texture versus the maseca, which is, I don't know. But this one looks more like ground corn, like real corn. All right, gave it a little mash. Mashing it there. Halfway mash. And then we're gonna flip it around. And then full. And there we go. And here we go. And you can see, look, you can see what I'm talking about. You can see the speckles of corn, ground up corn. So there is a difference. With the other one, you don't see that with the maseca. But now I feel like I'm just ranting about the one brand versus the other. But anyway, we'll see how this one turns out. You guys saw the maseca, and this is going to be the Hacienda. Sorry about that. All right. Once again, just to show you guys, we're going to just peel this back. And then lay it on. About 20 seconds each side. That's how fast they cook. You know, actually, the one thing that I'm starting to maybe realize is that perhaps there was too much water in my dough. Because usually you don't need to scrape it. As I mentioned, it usually just glides. But there we go. Having the same issues, guys. So might be the fact that, as I mentioned, it's maybe a little too wet. But this is the Hacienda tortilla now. So is it difficult to make tortillas? Yes. I was trying to show you guys saying that it wasn't going to be that difficult, but as I mentioned, it does take time to get it right. So, I mean, the first time that I did it with this, it was great. It cooked really well. But I don't know. Actually, this one needs more. I'm getting impatient now, guys. I'm over here hoping that I was going to make a great video on how to make tortillas, and I feel like I failed you guys. Actually, one thing that I do want to try now is I'm going to switch the press. So I'm going to use the steel press, and we're going to try that one and see if there's any difference. I highly doubt it, but you never know. real quick, I'm going to read your guys' comments. Let's see what's going on here. Hi, John. Good to see you, John. Cynthia, Rick, once again. Who else is here? Oh, we got some crazy stuff going on here. How do I report these guys? Report them. Yeah, okay. Reported them. Rick says, my neighbor has 2 boys, and the youngest always teases the oldest and says kids are like pancakes. The first one is always discarded. Yeah, well, here we go. As you can see, my tortilla turned out to be sad as well. So we're going to try the other tortilla press. We'll see what happens. And if those don't turn out as well, then I'm just going to blame it on myself because, as I mentioned, I've always had a difficult time making tortillas. The blue corn tortillas that I made actually turned out great, but these are just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So here you go. Not the best, but decent, I guess. They look just like the Maseca tortillas as well. I'm gonna put it in here. And then we're gonna give it one more go and see what happens. Oops. And there you guys go. Everybody okay? Earthquake there? All right. I feel like I'm just gonna make you guys nauseous from all this moving around. That was a little earthquake test. Everybody passed, hopefully. All right. We're gonna make another, let's see what happens. This is also the Hacienda brand, as I mentioned. We're gonna make one more and see what happens. I left the Hacienda uncovered since it was a little dry, or a little, I guess you could say, too wet. But anyway, here we go. Halfway pressed there. And then a bigger one on the second one. And there we are. This one's a little bit smaller. I did use less dough. So here we go. Once again, let's see if it works. Lift it up a little. All right. Now I feel like my dough is possibly too wet. I think that's what's going on. I'm over here hoping that I was going to be showcasing a great way of making tortillas, and I'm over here struggling, guys. Using spatulas to flip my tortillas. My goodness. After this one, we're going to try it with the other tortilla press in a minute and see if there's any difference. But so far, I mean, I like the Victoria cast iron press. I don't know if you guys are interested in one, but I got mine off of Amazon. Well, Honey Badger says, I wouldn't know if they were messed up or not. I'm assuming you're talking about the tortillas. Usually they puff up or they cook a lot more evenly. But with these, as I mentioned, I'm having a difficult time laying them flat. but possibly a little bit impatient on my end. Let's see, what else are you guys talking about? Rick says, I think the flour ones would be easier. I've actually made the flour ones, and I'll be honest, they are kind of difficult as well. But as I mentioned, I'm not a professional, especially when it comes to making tortillas. So it's funny that when I did the video for the blue corn tortillas, it turned out amazing and it worked great. But now that I'm doing it live, I feel like it's not even working for me. So, but isn't that just how it works? Like you do it once and it turns out great, and then you try to recreate it, and then it doesn't work. Come on, are you gonna get all poofy? No. All right, well. Now we're gonna try it with the other tortilla press and see what happens. But there you go. And you see how it's hard? It doesn't. It's not flexible. That's one of the things too that you can tell it's not where it needs to be. See, they're kind of hard. So the top two are the Macienda. The bottom two are these two are the Maseca, and this is Macienda. But that's how it rolls. That's how things are. I guess they never work live. That's the thing about live. This is why people don't want to do live. It's difficult to do things correctly when you're doing a live video, because when you're not, you're obviously going to edit all the things that went wrong. But hopefully you guys enjoy all these unedited forms of doing videos, these lives. So now we're going to switch over to the other press. So as I mentioned, if you guys are interested in this tortilla press, it does work great. It's just that perhaps I think my masa isn't at the consistency that it needs to be. So Victoria cast iron. I bought mine on Amazon, and I feel like that's the best place to buy it. So with that being said, we're going to switch over to a steel one. Okay. All right, so this one's the steel one that I recently got. It is square. It is a little bit larger. But pretty much the same function. And it is heavy as can be. So, all right, let's start off with the Maseca. Let's try that one once again, and hopefully we get better results. All right. So my dough is still moist. It hasn't dried out, which is a good thing. And this is, as I mentioned, the Maseca. And with this one, I feel like I can make bigger tortillas. So still kind of a golf-sized. And this one is actually either enameled. I think it's enameled or painted. I'm not sure, but still, I like this press a lot. I've used it once, and I've already liked the way it works. So same thing, give it a good half press, and then we're gonna flip it around and then do a full press. And there we go. And as you can see, a way larger tortilla, but still great results. So let's go over to the comal, or the cast iron griddle. And if you guys haven't noticed, I did get a new stove recently, so I'm not saying that that's my issue here, but could be. This is, I think, the second time that I use this stove, so not really used to it. I wish I could have gotten a gas range, but I got this electric range. We do not have the hookup for the gas, so we're stuck with electric. So same technique, peel it and then lay it down. And I think that, I did mention that this is the maseca flour. Looks like it's actually doing a little bit better. And you see, here's the other thing that I've noticed. See, it glides around. That's what my other one was doing, but I've only noticed it with the other press. So I don't know if it's my press. As ridiculous as that might sound, but I feel like for making tortillas, the white press that I just got is perfect. But for making everything else, because I like making like empanadas with the Victoria cast iron tortilla press. But with the tortillas, like tortillas, the white one so far has provided almost flawless tortillas. This one looks like a tortilla. This one actually, for me, is looking better than my other ones. As you can see here. And it's not necessarily sticking like my other ones. And this one's already trying to get puffy. But yeah, you know what? I feel like that tortilla press is made more for making tortillas than the cast iron Victoria one because I don't know if it's just the angle or perhaps the way it's shaped, but I feel like the steel one does a better job flattening them out and producing thinner tortillas that are more flexible. And as I mentioned, the griddle does a great job heating it up. As you can see, it heats it up really well. This thing is blazing hot. And I don't even have it at the high setting. This is a medium low. Let's see. Honey Badger says, that's why I have a million things in my kitchen. Some things have certain jobs, even if I have two of something. Yeah, that is very true. I have a lot of everything. I have so much cookware now, guys, that it's pretty insane. So yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. I like, even with the maseca, I like the way this turned out more than and it kind of kills me to say it because I love cast iron. It kills me to say that I like the performance of the steel one versus the cast iron one, which as I mentioned, kills me because I really want the cast iron one to work better for me. But as you can see, more uniform tortillas. And it looks like an actual tortilla. See, no cracks. That's one of the things that I mentioned. The cracks are kind of what destroy a good tortilla. I see all this. Sorry, guys, moving you guys around a lot. What is this? We got some spammers. Let me remove that. I'm gonna report these guys. All right, sorry about that, guys. There's a lot of spammers. I see that there's spammers in Cast Iron Chaos's channel as well. A little bit better, but they're still almost like tortilla chips now. They're very hard, but as I mentioned, put them in with the other tortillas, and they should get softer. All right, now we're gonna try the Macienda. As you can see, there's a little bit of burnt on tortilla, but nothing's gonna happen to the griddle. So this this is actually a tortilla press that a lot of restaurants use. A lot of the restaurants, this is how they make their tortillas. So that's why I chose to go with this tortilla press, because it has high ratings. All right, so we're gonna make one of the Macienda, and we'll see how that one turns out and see if there's any difference on that one. Hopefully you guys find this informative more than anything else. I was hoping that it'd be more exciting, and I feel like I've let you guys down. But thank you to everybody who's here watching and keeping company, and letting me enjoy making a tortilla tutorial for you guys that I had mentioned before that I wanted to do. So I figured right now would be a good time. But this is the Macienda corn masa. I'm gonna put it a little bit more up here. And we're gonna go for it. And then a bigger mash on this last one there. And there we have it. So we're gonna give this one a try and see what happens as well. All right. This one got kind of cut off here, so not going to be completely round, but that's okay. And there is a technique on how you want to lay them down, because as you can see here, I'm messing up a lot. So yes, there is a technique on how to lay those down as well. So as much as I'm trying to sell you guys on how easy it is to make them, I'm actually showcasing you guys how hard it is for me to make them. But don't be discouraged. You know, with a little bit of practice, it's not going to be that difficult to make the tortillas. We're just going to leave that there. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't fully stuck on. Making some noises over here. And as I mentioned, yes, you need your griddle to be nice and hot. A little bit got stuck there. No big deal. Anyway, guys, I did mention that we are doing a giveaway of the Lodge USA made cast iron. I think it's not not US, or made in USA series, but it is similar to the Made in the USA series, or Made in America series. Actually, I'm sorry about that, but we are going to do a giveaway. So if you guys haven't seen that video, my latest video that I posted, I want to say yesterday, for Cast Iron Wednesday, that one has the information for you guys to be entered in that giveaway. So if you guys haven't done so, go to that video and follow the instructions. I think it's at the 10-minute mark, 10.5-minute mark, where I explain to you guys about that giveaway. So you guys can win that skillet. I do have another giveaway. And after that giveaway, I actually have something else that I want to show you guys for the giveaway after that one. And I'm going to do the last giveaway of this year is going to be a enameled piece from Lodge. I need to retitle this video "How to Fail Miserably on Making Tortillas" because this tutorial should be the don'ts of how to make a tortilla. Don't worry, guys. I'm not discouraged. As I mentioned, it is difficult to get it right the first time, and I want to say this is my fourth time making tortillas from scratch. But sometimes they turn out great, sometimes they don't, and that's how things go. But the thing is to not be discouraged and to continue trying, figure out new things. Possibly, as I mentioned, my water was or I had too much water, or for whatever X reason, it's not cooking the way I want it to. But still, I can use these to make tostadas. I can use these tortillas to make, so it's not a complete loss. I can still use them to deep fry them and make tostadas, or chips. So not a complete loss because they still work. So that's not a big deal here. Not a complete loss. So if you do try this and they don't turn out the way you want them to, as I mentioned, don't be discouraged because you can still use those tortillas for chips, for tostadas, or anything of that nature, or even tortilla strips, those little strips that can go into your salad. A little bit of salt, that'll taste great. All right, the title of this video is definitely going to be changed to the don'ts of how to make a tortilla. I'm just kidding, guys. I am a little upset that it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but as you can see here, I'm going to do a close-up again. This is the Hacienda tortilla. Not the best, as I mentioned, and I'm not blaming the flour companies. This is, as I mentioned, my own doing. I obviously didn't mix it the way I should have. So we're going to stop there with this, and then I am going to show you guys the next giveaway that I have after the Lodge one. So as I mentioned, don't throw away your tortillas after you have cooked them. You can still use these for many, many things, so don't be discouraged. So I'm going to store these away and use them for another day. So as I mentioned, we're going to be done with that, turned off the griddle, and sadly, no proper tortillas this time around. But I won't give up on you guys. I'll make a video and then let you guys know in detail what my mistakes were once I figure it out. All right, guys, so the next giveaway after the Lodge USA flag skillet will be this enameled piece here. Now, from the research that I've done, guys, this enameled piece here, it's a grill pan. And as I mentioned, enameled from Lodge. And I want to say it's something new that they just recently, maybe in the last 2 or 3 months, released. And it's a grill pan. So this is great. And I've used one already. I actually have one of my own. And I've used it to do some roasting. So it's enameled inside and out. One thing, though, is that I tried looking for this on Lodge's website. And so far, I haven't been able to find it. So perhaps this is a Walmart exclusive at the meantime, or maybe some other stores. I don't even know if I've seen it on Amazon, but I will do my research and I'll let you guys know if I've seen it on Amazon. But this one, I haven't seen it on Lodge's website. So with that, I figured that this would be a great piece for you guys to receive right now. So I will do this giveaway after the, as I mentioned, after the Lodge skillet one, the flag. And you guys will most likely get this, whoever wins it, before Christmas holidays. So if you guys want to keep it as for yourselves, or gift it to somebody else, or use it for, making dinner, a roasted ham, or perhaps, a roast, what is it called? A prime rib roast, or anything of that nature, or even cooking a big old tomahawk on this. Or a small chicken if you guys want to do a chicken or something of that nature. But this one turns out to be great because it's enameled, so You're not going to have an issue with the seasoning. You're not going to have an issue with cleanup, because I'll be honest with you guys, one of the worst pieces of cast iron, and this is pretty much me being honest with you guys, one of the worst to use is a grill pan, because it is so difficult to clean. I've used seasoned grill pans and I don't like them. That's why I rarely feature them on my channel. Cleanup is a disaster. I've done steaks and I still have a disaster to clean up, and it doesn't want to come off for some weird reason. I can't keep them clean. So to me, I figured that the best bet would be a enameled one. Now, am I being, maybe extra? Perhaps I might be extra, and maybe I shouldn't worry so much about the seasoning on my grill pan, but I have a harder time. And as I mentioned, I don't like the results because a lot of that stuff gets stuck on, and for some reason, getting it clean is just a pain in the butt. And I sit there for hours trying to get rid of the buildup after cooking with it, and I don't like it. So I figured that the best thing that I could do would be using an enameled piece. So with that being said, this is what you guys have to look forward to for the next giveaway, this grill pan here. And let me show you guys a little bit better so you guys can see it a little bit better. So this one obviously is brand new, and I bought this when I bought mine, and I did it specifically so that way I can give one away because I thought it was really cool. So it is enameled. It's gotten dirty over here from my hands, but brand new, and I got it as I mentioned from Walmart. It is made by Lodge, and here what do they have here? I help you get grilled flavor without a grill. So yes, and this is great also in the oven. What else do they say? Get a restaurant quality sear. Yes. Grill veggies. Yep, I did that. Make an unforgettable steak. Yes. Lock in flavors. Definitely. And as I mentioned, it is a Lodge. It is a 12-inch grill pan. So I figured this is a great size. So my hand, I want to say average size hands, and you have enough for a tomahawk. I want to say that's big enough for a ribeye tomahawk. So I feel like this one's going to be a great size and a great addition for any of those who are interested in enameled cookware. But with all that being said, guys, that is it for today. Thank you to everybody who stopped by and chatted with us. John, thank you for stopping by. Hippie Longshanks, Cynthia, Honey Badger, Rick. Let's see, I think that's who we have here now. But if, whoever is watching, guys, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate your guys' time. I will let you guys know in a future video, just like with the other one, with the Lodge one that we have currently as a giveaway. I will let you guys know in a future video when this goes, for a giveaway. That way you guys can be entered for that one. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this live today. I know that it was more of a tame live stream today and very relaxed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As I mentioned, let me know if there's any suggestions that you guys might have. But yeah, I was happy to show you guys on how to not make tortillas. With all joking aside, though, it is difficult. And as I mentioned, do not be discouraged because, yes, I've tried and many times, and I've failed many times. So anyway, with all that said, everybody have a great night. Be safe, and I will catch you guys on the next video.